literally, I wasn't reaching anyone. I wasn't reaching anyone new. And I wasn't really attracting anyone, or I wasn't falling into their space where they had to notice me, right? And realize, oh, this would be a great fit. I would love to listen to this podcast. So, well, what's that old famous quote by Winston Churchill? It says, success is stumbling from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. Success is stumbling from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. Well, that is success, all right. And I have proved it, and I proved it the hard way. But it can be done. And it can be done much more easily than I had to do it the first time. I can tell you that much.
Welcome to Launch It, the Podcast Maestro, your gateway to becoming a thought leader in your field. Dive into the world of elite podcasting and master the art of influence and inspiration. And now, podcast personality, award-winning author and actress, Anne Scottlin.
Hi, welcome back to Launch It, the Podcast Maestro. I'm Anne Scottlin, and I'm the Podcast Maestro. Today, we're diving into some really fun stuff, questions that have been coming in like, should you do an audio or video podcast? Well, that's a really good question. So we're going to chat about that and figure out what works best for you. I'm also going to share one of my early podcasting experiences with you, a different one. But first, the purpose of this show, my purpose, is to help you become a global thought leader by helping you create a world-class podcast. That is my job, that is my goal, and that is what I love to do. But the thing is, most experts in their field will never get around to launching their own podcast because they think it's too hard or complicated or time-consuming, which it can be if you don't have the right tools and support. So I'll often say to people, oh my word, you should have your own podcast. People would be so lucky to have you. They're like, but I'm worried about, there's cost, there's production, there's distribution. Can I monetize it? And then I hate recording. I hate being on camera, nerves, fear of public speaking, or even like, I'm just so disorganized. And the other person's like, I'm too perfectionistic. I would never get it done. So that is what I'm here to help you work through, to avoid, and to find easy solutions for. So but understanding your audience is a big part of deciding whether you want a video or audio podcast, of course. And my very first podcast opportunity was an invitation, which was very fortunate because I'd often thought, I should do one, but So that first podcast was audio only, live, and solo. And I had no training or mentors. So if you have any experience in your life, in production, in speaking, in live production, in public speaking, you will know that was very, very challenging because one, audio only, that's actually okay. The challenge is live, being that I hadn't had a lot of practice podcasting, and you couldn't really back up, and you couldn't edit. You couldn't, you didn't have a producer to jump in and add or fix something. And it was solo, which is often harder because you can't bounce back and forth with another host or guest, right? So, well, fortunately, I had my Hollywood training and experience. But that first podcast was still not a great experience. And I just mucked through weeks and weeks and weeks, probably at least 3 months, once a week. And then I was looking to find out, it was part of a small network. It was on health and wellness, and it was about creating content for people. It was on a new platform. It was on a new platform that was looking for people to get involved. And I'd had 2 different people that I knew reach out to me and say, you would be great for this. Well, I didn't do any research. I had no idea who I was making this podcast for, or even who I wanted to attract to it exactly. I'm like, well, this would be nice. Anybody could benefit. Not good enough. And the worst of it was, once I actually started looking at the numbers, many weeks in, I realized there was literally no one listening. And when I say literally, I mean literally. I maybe one, maybe 2, maybe one of the other speakers tuned in to, one of the other podcasters tuned in to support me on the live show. But literally, I wasn't reaching anyone. I wasn't reaching anyone new. And I wasn't really attracting anyone, or I wasn't falling into their space where they had to notice me, right? And realize, this would be a great fit. I would love to listen to this podcast. So, well, what's that old famous quote by Winston Churchill? It says, Oh, success is stumbling from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. Success is stumbling from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. Well, that is success, all right. And I have proved it, and I proved it the hard way, but it can be done. And it can be done much more easily than I had to do it the first time. I can tell you that much. So, understanding your audience, like, let me ask you this. Are you aware of the different preferences of your target audience when it comes to consuming content? What are their preferences? A lot of people don't think about that. They just think, I have an interesting subject and I'm just going to do it the way I want to do it. Another question. Do you find yourself drawn to podcasts that incorporate visuals, or do you like audio only podcasts? What do you prefer? And if you say I don't consume podcasts, then we should really talk before you start doing a podcast. And don't worry, it's not hard. It's easy. But most of us do listen to podcasts. So, if not, time to join the 21st century, right? Okay, let's talk about who's tuning in when you're understanding your audience. Like, who is tuning in to listen? So, picture, who are the people who are looking for podcasts? Well, your audio listeners are doing their own thing while they're tuning into your podcast. They might be commuting, they could be cooking dinner, they could be working out in the gym. And that's great because they're just looking for an audio platform. Then you've got your video viewers, and they're usually kicking back, enjoying your content during their downtime, or even, working and listening, and they have you minimized on your screen, but they're still checking in with you visually. So it's all about knowing your audience and giving them what they want. So where are they? Question one, where are they? What are they doing? And what is most convenient? So ask yourself those three questions. Where are they? What are they doing? And what is most convenient for them? And once you understand your audience thoroughly, you will know exactly which platform they would most appreciate having and be more likely to consume and refer. Okay, so since I have done pretty much virtually every kind of podcast there is of different platforms, different formats, solo, double, guests, multiple hosts, audio, video, live, not live, I've done them all. So let's break it down again a little bit to the pros and cons to audio versus video podcasting, right? So the really amazing news about audio is it's super easy to produce, but you do miss out on the bells and whistles, right, of video podcasting. It's kind of like your older flashy cousin that always wears name brand clothes and is just always just a little sharper than you, but whatever. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong to be either, but it's the sharper, flashier one, right? So the visual consumers, they really want more engagement, connection, or they want to see what you're demonstrating. But video podcasting, as in television, does require a bit more effort and financial investment. So we're gonna talk about logistics. Okay, so what do you need for audio podcasting? Well, it isn't much. You grab a decent mic. We're going to be talking about mics soon. Hit record, and you're pretty much good to go. It's literally that easy. Now, you can have a crap audio podcast, or you can have a really excellent audio podcast. That would be a patio podcast. Well, that's a really bad one. A really excellent podcast. It depends on how you produce it, how you distribute it, and the quality you're using. But in general, it's that easy. Just a mic and go, right? Video podcasting. What do you need? Well, I can definitely tell you that because that's what I'm doing right now. You need some gear. You need more time for editing. But it's kind of fun if you really want to dazzle them with visuals because it's fun to see the person who's presenting. We're so isolated in so many of our activities now. Even mental wellness experts will tell you this, that it does help. If you can't be in the same room with someone, if you can't be listening in a conference room or in some other live format, it does help. You do remember more when you are seeing people face to face. You can catch more of their enthusiasm. But look, radio's worked for years. Audio podcasts work. Everything has its place. So my question for you is, which format speaks to your vibe as a consumer? what do you listen to or watch? Do you like audio or video? And then secondly, I was alluding to a little bit before, which is it's important to answer that question for yourself first. I just want to point that out. It's important to understand as the consumer what you see and what you like, what you hear and what you like, because it will help you understand your audience better. And then that's the next question. Do you know your audience's vibe? What is the vibe of the audience? That goes beyond the 1, 2, 3 of, where are they? What are they doing? What's most convenient for them to consume at that point, right? So the vibe of your audience is tremendously important. And I'm going to talk about that very soon on another episode. Now, some of you are really clear on your branding and your vibe, and some of you have no idea. That is fine, but we're going to help you get some clarity. I'm going to give you a lot of information that's going to help you pull that together. And I promise save you so much time, effort, and money that I have done in many ways learning the hard way. So that episode coming up is going to be really useful. So do you think the vibe of your podcast, if you're creating a podcast, is the vibe more video or audio friendly, right? Just ask yourself. You may know right off the top. It may be instant that you know. I mean, audio podcasts are great for storytelling. They're great for interviews. They're perfect for sort of those cozy private chats with your audience, because when you're just listening and you're often just listening in your car or on your iPod, it's just you and them. It's just very quiet. Like a lot of people love consuming things that way. Some people love audiobooks for that reason. It's just you and that, the information that's coming to you, the voice that you get to know, and it's just kind of a cozy moment for you. Video podcasts, just by their very nature, are often a little more public. There might be other people walking around your space wherever you are, not necessarily, but sometimes. And the whole visual element, right, is about showcasing demos, events, your awesome personality. It's like bringing a party to your audience's screens. That's what a video podcast is more like. So, and I hope as you're listening today, you will send me your thoughts, text messages, email me any questions you have about this as we go. And if I can answer it live, I will. And if not, we'll try to hit it up on the next time. So let's talk about the power of audio podcasts. We just brushed on it, but I'm going to give you an example from my friend Sarah, who loves audio podcasts. This is one of my best friends. I have known her since high school. She's a really busy mom. She loves tuning into her favorite parenting podcasts, and while she's, folding laundry and running up and down the stairs with picking up kids' stuff. And all she really needs is her earbuds and a cup of coffee, and she feels super connected, content, encouraged, great discussions on parenting, advice. And then even before she was a mom of young kids, she was also an academic. She is an academic, once an academic, always an academic. That's just a personal opinion. Before she became a mom. So, and she chose to spend those first few years at home with her kids before she went back. So also on audio podcasts, she's able to keep current with all her favorite academic podcasters, and she feels like she's staying connected to her field in real time, which is really special. These are both examples of what is really great about an audio podcast. Then there's another friend of mine, Cole. Bless him. I get that from the South too, and I only lived there for a little while. Anyway, he has a 2-hour commute every day. Fortunately, that's only round trip. But he listens to educational and fitness podcasts for 2 hours a day. I have to admit, I'm jealous because I would love to consume that much, but I'm cranking out so much content, I don't get to consume quite as much as I used to. But he literally is on top of his game in the fitness field. He's on top of the game when anything educational he wants because he's in his car. And if you're in your car, it's a great, great target audience, obviously, for audio podcasts. So according to Edison Research, I was just checking the other day, 30% of Americans over the age of 12 listen to podcasts monthly, at least, with the majority preferring audio formats for convenience, for portability. I would like to clarify on that research and find out more. I think there's another level to be addressed there, which is, do they primarily listen to audio podcasts because that's the format podcasts were originally released in, and that is the way we are used to consuming them? Is it because is it because they had an actual option of like show content A, video, or audio? Or if it's not the same speaker, at least like a cooking show, audio or video. So I would like to know that more. But podcasts are mostly, most podcasts are still consumed that are audio, but things are changing, especially with TV streaming and streaming services. That's how I'm able to stream on Apple, Amazon, all those other platforms. You can stream directly to people's living rooms, not just their phones or laptops, right? So video podcasting has a whole different level of impact. And I think people are still coming around and getting used to it. So one of my former clients that I worked with, Mike, sorry, Mike, I'm just coughing. He's a tech enthusiast, and he's always waiting for his favorite YouTube tech review channel. Well, I'm going to say channels. I swear he's following like 30 or 40 of them. So the tech review channels really include a lot of visuals, right? And a lot of them have detailed demonstrations. Sometimes it's even unboxing stuff, right? So he loves to watch that in his living room. He loves to watch it on his big TV while he's working on his laptop or while he's just, chilling out in the evening, right? So that's the kind of podcast that would be much weaker and not really serve its consumers if it was audio only, right? So video podcasts on any subject are also great if you have a natural screen presence. Ta-da! I'd like to feel that you're visually, sorry, I just really cracked myself up there. Okay. If you like to feel that you're visually connecting with your audience as you speak, which is how I like to do it. I love doing that. I want my viewers to feel like they know me, that they have a professional relationship with me, that I'm part of their world, that I'm there for them when they need podcast production support. And then, in addition, I also have a video podcast for a very particular reason, because it is also part of my service, right? So I'm demonstrating the products and services I offer, which is podcast production, distribution, and monetization. So another study about video podcasts by Wise Owl. I don't know if you know that. It's WYZ, Wise Owl. Anyway, such a great name. Whoever came up with that, high five. Found that 85% of consumers really want to see more video content from businesses they are considering buying from products or services. If you're shopping for something, a product or a service, now as an Amazon lifestyle nation world, we really expect to be able to see video footage of it. And not just reviews, but even from the company itself. So if you are your own brand and you're a solopreneur, or if you are with a corporation, either way, people just really want that visually engaging experience. So if you're trying to get people to buy something, video is definitely a preferable way to go. And that's according to statistics, including HubSpot. They also had a report that said that video content is, I think, 50 times more likely to drive organic search results on the web compared to plain text. Very important to know. Plain text, so if it's audio only and you may have the transcript that can be searched by the search engines, but video still is more impactful and comes up first on the search engines because they know the audiences love to do visuals, right? So if you want to be discoverable, it does also help a little bit if you have a video podcast format. Well, what if you want to do both? Or what if you do the target research on your audience and you realize that they really would like both? This is what happened to another friend of mine, Liz. So she's a wellness coach, and she couldn't decide between audio and video podcasting. And so I said, let's go investigate who your consumers really are. Let's do some polls online. Let's do some polls on social media. And also see what's really calling out to you as the podcaster. And in the end, it turned out that she did really want, and her audience wanted, both formats. So she was right, and she was right about not being able to pick in that regard. So she had on-the-go clients who wanted just that audio version, and then she had people who wanted more of this one-to-one, deeper connection, visual experience, especially around, health and wellness, that really loved to see her on the screen and felt that they were getting more out of it. So by diversifying her content, she was able to reach both. And there's ways to do both that aren't too hard. And I think I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to wait a minute, though. So personally, I find that video podcast really checks all the right boxes for me for the purposes of my own podcasts. Having a video podcast means people can tune in for the visual experience for me, but they can also just as easily listen to it on YouTube, right? Even if it's in video format, they can still listen to it. The opposite is not true. If you're in audio format only, they can't also watch it. So that's where you get to kind of make the choice. And of course, now YouTube also has the audio podcast only channel. I know what it's called, and now I just can't remember. So you can not only, if you're audio only, you can now post on YouTube. It has the audio only channel. I think it maybe cooperates with YouTube Music or something. It's where it says audio podcasts only. So I have both, even on YouTube itself. I have the video podcast, and I also have an audio version, which is just the soundtrack from the same that goes up. So I can easily convert my video to audio for that purpose for any platform if I need to. And I'm going to talk more another time about audio and video streaming platforms in the future, because I know you have a lot of questions about that. So you'll want to be sure you subscribe to the podcast and like, please, and share with someone so you can get those notices. All right. So in a nutshell, what we've been talking about today is basically, should you have an audio format or a video format for your podcast? And, I think honestly, the answer is really simple. What feels right for you? What is right for your audience? What is right for your content? Your brand, your vibe, right? What is your vibe? What is your brand? Who is your audience? What are they doing? What is their preferred method of consuming your podcast? So most important of all is the target audience. And sometimes that puts us in a kind of funny place where you say, hey, clearly my target audience would want a visual podcast more, but I'm not comfortable doing a visual podcast. I've got answers for you. Do not worry. We can talk about that another time. But there are so many solutions that can make it very easy and seamless for you, just getting the right support. So, like I said earlier, too many people just start a podcast without really focusing on the target audience. Your audience is already there. You just have to find it. So do it in the right order. Although some of you may not even know exactly who your target audience is. And I'm going to do an episode just on that soon to help you determine who your target audience is if you're not super clear. It can't just be women. It can't just be men. It just can't be, it's going to be really broken down. Anyone can listen. Yes. Oh, don't get me started on target audience stuff. Anyone can listen. But who is your prime target audience? Who are you trying to attract? And especially important if you are promoting goods or services that you want people to engage in. So in the end, whether you choose audio or video, just let your personality shine through and your audience will eat it up like candy. They just want to know how you are, what your energy's like, and on a topic that makes them excited and interested. So that is all I got for today. I'm so excited. This episode gave me so many ideas for new episodes coming along the way. And so please send me your questions, your comments. Do me a favor and share this link with anybody who might enjoy it and or learn something or just likes to hang out with us and talk about podcasting. And if you're ready to dive in to your own podcast, reach out to me anytime, whether you need advice, coaching, or someone to literally handle all the tech stuff. Got your back, and we can always make some podcasting magic together. So I would be excited to hear from you. Which of you are doing or are planning to do a video podcast? Which of you are planning to do audio podcast? Or which of you are doing or going to do both? So drop me a line, shoot me an email. You can see it streaming below. Next week, we're going to talk about Audio Mics 101. Why not start at the beginning? Audio mics is one of the biggest questions I get about podcasting. So join me next time. As always, we're streaming on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. GMT. Can't wait for that. See you there. Bye.